ego isn't all bad. There's got to be some kernel of ego and self-belief to have the gusto to get a business off the ground, to have the self-confidence to move something. It's what drives us. It's kind of what drives capitalism and the whole system that we live inside of. In many, many instances, ego expresses itself quite unhealthily. What are your thoughts on this? Can you maybe give us a healthier understanding and relationship with our own egos?
Well, I think I use the analogy of three mountains, and I think this is essentially our evolution, whether we like it or not. And I think mountain one is about me. It's about our happiness. It's about our wealth. It's about our path. It's about paying our bills, and there is nothing wrong with that. Mountain two, in my experience, particularly in a business context, mountain two tends to be where you move into something, where you start to want to build something with other people. So it's about us, which is about creating a culture, bringing people together, and maybe you build a bigger team, maybe you contribute to the local community, maybe you cut checks to build a farm or an orphanage or whatever it happens to be. But you realize that actually a lot of what we're doing is still about us, and it's doing the things that we want to do, which is absolutely fine. And then there's this opportunity, which most people die on the second mountain, or they overstay their welcome on the second mountain. The third mountain is about them. When you basically turn around, and if you think about any successful person in history, most of them get to a point where they amass enough wealth to realize, holy shit, this hasn't brought me the kind of joy I thought it would. I'm going to start giving it all away. But the cost that they've often incurred, both personally and relationship-wise, in the pursuit of that wealth has sometimes not been worth it. Okay? It just hasn't been worth it. They start giving away. My job is to try to wake people up sooner. So in the case of myself, selfishly, it was all about me. It was all about us, me and us. And now my job, and there are occasions when I get scarce and I get fearful. I get the mirror and it comes really close to home. It's all about me again. I don't think I'm as successful as I should be. I mean, look at Benji. He's got more followers than me. Oh my God, Benji's making more money than me. Why am I not as good as him? And I get that scarce contraction. I'm in my head, not in my body. But there is this opportunity to essentially transcend into a place where you're actually in the third mountain, the third phase of your life is all about other people. I think that is ultimately where you're going to be at your happiest. The misconception is I need to make enough money in the middle mountain to give myself the freedom to go and do that.
Is that a misconception? Because look, I gotta tell you, you can understand why people feel that way. It's like when I achieve escape velocity, is a term I love. I've got enough that I can do whatever the I want. Then I'll become generous. And you put yourself in your shoes of a business owner. That makes a lot of sense. So why is that a misconception?
It makes sense until it doesn't make sense, and here's where it doesn't make sense. If they say, I'm going to spend the next 3 years and I'm going to escape velocity is the language you use, I'm going to get to that threshold. What you'll find is that something will change. The timing's not right. There's not a buyer for my business right now. I just need to get it to just another pay. I can get another $1 million off the table or another 100 grand off the table. The goalpost keeps changing. Or here's another pattern that I guarantee you that your community fall into is, let me put a manager in place and then it'll all be fine. And then the manager doesn't work out and they find themselves back in the business again. The reason that happens is not because the manager is it's because they pick a person, because deep down they don't want to escape the business because they don't know who they are beyond the business. They haven't taken the time to reimagine who they could be at their core, in the same way that an inmate sometimes repeats a crime when they get out. Not because they want to repeat crime, because they don't know how to be in society. They're safer back in what they know, so they create a new crime just so they can get back to jail, to familiarity. They get back to that base that they understood that they've been in for far too long. So it does make sense until it begins to not make sense at all. People often say to me, well, it's easy for you to this third mountain business and passion and everything else because you've got enough money to do it. And I said, rather than making an assumption, why don't you ask me? Because when I made a decision to go from the second to the third mountain, I was underwater to hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt at the Great Recession. I owned real estate that was underwater. I had banks chasing me. I had so much shame. I had so much guilt. I was so desperate. I was underwater, and I just, from a pure place of pure desperation, Benji. I'd love to say it was pure inspiration. It wasn't. Desperation. With tears rolling down my face in my mother's kitchen, my wife said, I'm not going back to Canada. And I said, I'm going to F and do this. And she said, what? This coaching thing. I wanted to do it my whole life. Like deep down, I knew it. The signposts were there. We're brought kicking and screaming to the thing we're destined to do in this earth. And the thing we're destined to do is the thing that we do naturally. Hence, it's so difficult for us to put a value on it, monetary value on the thing that we do naturally, because it's just a thing we do naturally. And yet the world is screaming for that gift that you have.